I still remember the day my family laughed at me, not because I had done something embarrassing, not because I had made a mistake. They laughed because I bought the ugliest house on the entire street. The paint was peeling off the walls. The front porch leaned slightly to one side. Half the windows were cracked, and the yard looked more like a jungle than a garden. Even the real estate agent had warned me. Most people don't even want to tour this place. But the moment I stepped inside, I saw something nobody else could see. Potential. My name is Rachel, and 5 years ago I spent almost every dollar I had on that broken-down house. And according to my family, it was the dumbest decision I had ever made. At the family barbecue that weekend, my older brother couldn't stop making jokes. So, Rachel bought herself a haunted house. Everyone laughed, my cousin added. Did the raccoons come with the purchase, or do you have to pay extra? More laughter. Even my parents looked concerned. My mother pulled me aside and whispered, Sweetheart, are you sure about this? That place needs more work than it's worth. I smiled and nodded. Deep down, though, their words hurt, not because they disagreed with me, because nobody believed in me. But I wasn't about to argue. I had learned something important in life. People rarely understand your vision when they're only looking at your current reality. So instead of defending myself, I got to work. The first year was brutal. I worked my regular office job during the day. At night, I painted walls. I pulled weeds. I watched hundreds of home renovation videos. Most weekends were spent covered in dust and sweat. There were moments I wanted to quit. The plumbing failed. The roof leaked. One winter night, the heating system broke completely. I sat in my kitchen wearing 3 jackets and wondered if my family had been right all along. Maybe I had made a mistake. Maybe I had bought a money pit. But every time doubt crept in, I looked at old photos of the house and compared them to how far it had already come. Progress isn't always obvious day to day. Sometimes you only notice it when you look back. So I kept going. By the second year, small changes started becoming noticeable. The yard was clean. Fresh paint brightened the exterior. The porch was repaired. Neighbors who had ignored the property for years suddenly started waving when they walked by. One elderly neighbor stopped while I was planting flowers. You know, she said, this house hasn't looked this good in 20 years. That simple comment meant more to me than she probably realized. For the first time, someone saw what I was trying to build. Meanwhile, my family still wasn't impressed. Whenever the house came up in conversation, somebody had a joke ready. Much money have you sunk into that place now? Still fixing things. Could have bought a nice condo instead. I smiled through it. Because I knew something they didn't. The neighborhood itself was changing. New businesses were opening nearby. Old properties were being renovated. Property values were quietly rising. Most people weren't paying attention. I was. By year 3, things began moving faster. A young family bought the house next door and completely remodeled it. Another investor purchased 2 abandoned homes nearby. The street that people used to avoid suddenly started attracting attention, and then something interesting happened. My family stopped making jokes, not completely, but less often, because now the house actually looked good. At Thanksgiving that year, my aunt asked if she could see some updated photos. I showed her a few pictures on my phone. Her eyes widened. Wow, you did all this yourself. I nodded. For the first time, I heard something I hadn't heard before. Impressed. It felt nice. But I wasn't finished yet. Year 4 changed everything. A major company announced plans to build a large office campus only a few miles away. The news spread quickly. Home prices skyrocketed. People who had ignored our neighborhood suddenly wanted to move there. Investors started knocking on doors. Offers appeared in mailboxes. And that's when my phone started ringing. Family members who had once laughed now wanted advice. My cousin called first. Do you think it's still a good time to buy in your area? Then my brother. Hey, how much do you think your house is worth now? I noticed the difference immediately. The same people who once mocked my decision were now treating it like a smart investment. I didn't hold it against them. Success has a funny way of changing people's opinions. But the biggest surprise came during year 5. A real estate agent contacted me unexpectedly. She had a client specifically looking for renovated homes in the neighborhood. When she asked if I would consider selling, I almost laughed. 5 years earlier, nobody wanted this house. Now people were competing for it. I wasn't planning to sell. Still, I agreed to hear the offer. The number she presented nearly made me drop the phone. The value had more than tripled. I sat quietly after the call ended, not because of the money, because of what that moment represented. Every late night, every sacrifice, every doubt, every joke, every laugh, all of it suddenly flashed through my mind. I wasn't emotional because the house was worth more. I was emotional because I had trusted myself when nobody else did. A few weeks later, my family gathered for my father's birthday dinner. At some point, the conversation shifted toward real estate. My brother looked around the table, then he smiled. You know, Rachel was right. Everyone laughed, but this time it was different. There was respect behind it, my aunt nodded. We all thought she was crazy. More laughter, then my cousin raised his glass. To Rachel, the smartest investor in the family. Everyone cheered. I smiled, but inside I was thinking about something else. They saw the success now. What they didn't see were the lonely years before it. People celebrate results. Few appreciate the process. Later that evening, my brother pulled me aside. He looked slightly uncomfortable. Owe you an apology. I raised an eyebrow. For what? He laughed. For making fun of your house all those years. I shrugged. It's okay, he said. It's not. You saw something the rest of us couldn't. A moment, neither of us spoke. Then he asked a question. You ever doubt yourself? I looked out the window before answering. Every single day. His expression changed. Really? I nodded. Confidence doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It means you keep moving forward even when you do. That answer seemed to stay with him. And honestly, it stayed with me too. Because that's what the house had really taught me. The greatest rewards often come disguised as problems. The opportunities most people ignore are sometimes the ones that change your life. And the people who laugh at your dream today may be the same people asking how you did it tomorrow. I never sold the house. Not then, anyway. Because by that point, it had become more than an investment. It was proof. Proof that patience matters. Proof that hard work compounds. Proof that believing in your vision can be worth more than seeking everyone's approval. Sometimes the worst house on the street isn't really the worst house. Sometimes it's simply the house nobody else had the courage to see differently. And 5 years later, while everyone else saw a beautiful home, I still saw the broken down place where it all started. The place where I stopped waiting for people to believe in me and finally started believing in myself. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more heartfelt stories from Emily Calm Stories. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.